According to the British intelligence and satellite images, Russian forces started retreating from Kherson. That's right, not the civilians, but the soldiers. And in the meantime, Russian army continues to assemble its forces in Belarus, which dramatically increases the chances of opening a brand new front line. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's go straight to the point and quickly see just a couple of footages from Ukraine. And our first video comes to us from Donetsk, where we can see the consequences of shelling, which has been recorded on camera. Then we move down to Yeisk, where we can see the condition of an apartment building, which has been recently damaged by the plane. I'm sure you have already seen the footage of the actual incident, but what's even more humiliatingly sad is that the Russian government issued $150 compensation to the residents of this building. And it gives you a pretty good understanding how the Russian government treats the majority of just regular Russian citizens. That's definitely not the information Russian propaganda wants you to see, but well, here you go. And then we go all the way up to Kiev. And as you can see, the majority of lights inside the city are turned off due to emergency energy saving protocols. These measures were implemented after Russia destroyed approximately 30% of Ukraine's energy generating stations. In some regions, the power outages are mandatory, while in the others, these are voluntarily but highly recommended. And right here, for example, you can see the types of electrical equipments which are suggested to be kept turned off, both for individuals and for businesses. These measures are expected to last until the repairs are done, but unfortunately it can last for months. And so yes, if you do live in Ukraine and you want to help your country, please keep the usage of electricity to a minimum. But no worries, we do have some good news. Because according to the representative of the General Staff, Oleksiy Hromov, the effectiveness of Ukrainian air defense system is all the way up to 64%. Which means that at least 6 missiles out of 10 that Russia launches against Ukraine are intercepted. Alright, and now let me give you a very quick update about the counteroffensive situation in the east. And while I'm going there, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel if you like this style of daily updating. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and send me a message and I will reply to you. Alright, so first of all, according to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, Russia continued its ground assaults in the northeastern part of Kharkov region. And at the same time, one of the biggest fights in this territory is happening in Kreminna-Svatovo area. The fights are reportedly happening next to Kupiansk, Kreminna, Severodonetsk and next to Khorlivka. And then even more combat actions are happening close to Bakhmut, Avdiivka and Marinka. And so far, neither of the sides is achieving a significant progress. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot that I recently got these new intercepted phone calls of Russians, and they basically complain about the quality of their ammunition, and it shows the overall panic across the entire front line. And if you want to hear these full conversations in addition to all the other footages that I'll be uploading in the future, please consider checking my Patreon. The proceeds will be donated to Ukraine, and you can find all useful links down below. Alright, and now let's talk about the major part of the video, which is the situation in the south and the retreat of Russian forces. And according to the very same report by the Institute for the Study of War, the major battles right now are happening in Dotchany, Davidov Brid, Snehurivka and Kiselyovka. And as you can see, pretty much, Ukrainians are fighting Russians across the entire Kherson front line. And because of this, and we were already talking about this in our previous episodes, there was an assumption that Russian forces will try to retreat from Kherson. And today, we have the confirmation of this assumption by no one else other than the British intelligence. According to them, Russian forces will most likely cross to the left side of Dnipro river using temporary bridges and pontoons. And this is mostly because of the statement of the Russian commander Sergei Surovkin, who said that Russia will most likely have to take some difficult decisions. And indeed, we even have satellite images like this, which show us that the withdrawal of Russian soldiers from the right side of Kherson has already started. And the majority of Russians are trying to escape through Nova Kahovka region, including this small channel next to Kazatsky Island. I guess their assumption was that this land will cover them from Ukrainian ice from both sides. But come on, you cannot hide from the satellite. But what makes it even more interesting is that Belarus, which is right next to Nova Kahovka, is the major city of interest for Ukrainians at this very moment. And since Russians are actively retreating from this area, there is a very high possibility of a goodwill gesture in the nearest future. And so, those of you who have been watching my videos for at least last couple of weeks, you already know about this three-way split of Kherson that I was proposing. And my biggest bet is that the eastern part will be the first one to be liberated. And so far, the predictions have been pretty accurate. And even though all of this might sound promising, we potentially have one bad thing that's coming, which is that according to President Zelensky, Russians planted explosives inside Kahovka Hydro Plant and its dam, and they are planning to destroy it. And the main idea behind this is to flood several neighboring settlements and obviously blame Ukraine for this. And at the same time, the combination of explosion and a flooding will give Russians some time to cover their retreat. And speaking about the retreat, there is a very high possibility that some of these forces will be redirected to Belarus. And so right now, let's briefly talk about potentially the brand new chapter in this war, the invasion of Russia from the north. It is no longer a secret that there are Russian forces on the territory of Belarus, and one of the biggest concentration of them is located right here on this airbase next to Zabrivka. And right now I will show you some satellite images which prove that Russians are planning something. First of all, we have this image of Zabrivka airbase, which is dated from August 24th. And then right here is the satellite image of the same place from October 16th. The first thing to mention are those sand embankments that Russians created potentially for installing artillery weapons. And the second is a big increase in number of military vehicles. And among such vehicles are the trucks which were transporting the military personnel, as well as S-300 and S-400 missile systems. In addition to that, in the bottom right corner we can see a train with cisterns full of fuel. And reportedly, other trains were seen previously carrying mainly the ammunition. In case Russia decides to invade, this will open a brand new front line in the north of Ukraine. But at the same time, according to the representative of the General Staff Alexei Khromov, Russians might advance to the southwest. And their main purpose will be to try and disrupt the logistics of weapons from the Western allied countries. And yeah, you can download all the maps that I was drawing today for free in our Discord. The link will be down below. And if you want to show some support and get your name featured in my next episode, please consider becoming my channel member. All the other useful links can be found to my right. Thank you so much for your attention, товарищи, and see you tomorrow.